We've already seen one big extension from the Atlanta Braves this offseason in Matt Olson. Could we see another big extension before the 2022 season gets underway? We'll discuss that, some of the biggest extension candidates the Braves have. We'll also talk about the arbitration numbers that were filed on Tuesday, get into Tuesday's game action and some big news from around the league for the upcoming 2022 season. We'll discuss all that on today's episode of Lockedon Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your favorite teams every day. I am your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on Twitter at shortstopball. Check out my bio there to see where I am covering the game of baseball, including the Atlanta Braves in written form over at tomahawktake.com. Also, please make sure that you follow the podcast on Twitter at lockedon_Braves and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. Also, you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. We are like 40 subscribers away from hitting 1K, which is just amazing. Appreciate all the support there. So make sure you go follow us on YouTube as well. And thanks for making Locked On Braves your first listen each and every day. We post episodes daily, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and we are free and available on all platforms. What we're going to be talking about today, we have some arbitration numbers that came down, some agreements that were made, but more so some agreements that were not made. So we'll discuss those numbers. We'll also look at who could be a possible extension candidate through this arbitration process. And then we're going to talk about some rule changes coming for the 2022 season and beyond for some of these rules. And we'll talk about Tuesday's spring training game as well, where there are some definite highlights on the pitching mound. But let's get into the arbitration numbers, Tuesday being the deadline to exchange those numbers. And the Braves came to an agreement with 3 players, but still have 5 out there that they did not come to an agreement to. They did come to terms with Sean Newcomb for $900,000. That is the exact number that MLB Trade Rumors projected when they do their annual arbitration projection numbers. So right on there at 900,000 for Sean Newcomb, who, man, I just hope he's able to figure it out, whatever his niche is going to be. I hope he's able to figure it out. I saw somebody tweet the other day he's going to be turning 29 years old soon, and that is just crazy to think about. And for some reason, I still think of him as this young up and coming prospect, but we are a bit past that at this point, and I just hope Sean Newcomb can find a path in the big leagues for him to be successful. Wish the best for him. I don't know. Maybe it'll be in the Braves bullpen this year. Maybe he gets traded and gets another shot to start somewhere else. I think his chances to start with the Braves are over at this point, but still, hope he can find somewhere where he can blossom and grow, be the best Sean Newcomb that he can be. They also came to terms with AJ Minter for $2.2 million. That was the MLB Trade Rumors projection for that was 2.1, so just under that. And then Tyler Matzik came just under that. He got 1.4 million, while the projection on him was 1.5 million. So far, MLB Trade Rumors pretty spot on as far as those 3 go. We've been trying to figure out the payroll for a while now and using these projected arbitration numbers. So nothing has to change there because that pretty much washes out and becomes even as far as what the projections were for those 3. But like I said, there were several others that they did not come to an agreement with. And that list includes some big names, including Max Fried, Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, Adam Duvall, and Luke Jackson. Max Fried projected to get 7.1 million. He is somehow in his first year of arbitration. So we'll see where that ends up, where that lands. Obviously, Max deserves it at this point, been around for a while. He just pitched game 6 of the World Series. So, I can't imagine them not really figuring that out, but we'll see where they land there. Dansby Swanson was projected at 10.1 million in his final year of arbitration. I honestly think he's worth it. I know some people aren't as high on Dansby Swanson as I am, but 10 million for a very solid shortstop, gives you solid defense, an average to maybe just above average bat. I still think he's probably going to have a big year, still just 28 years old. So, I think that's a pretty fair amount, but, I can understand the Braves' argument for maybe him to get a little less than that. Austin Riley is projected at $4.3 million. He is coming off a big year. The third baseman is trying to get paid, and I don't blame him, as he may not have a better year than he had in 2021. So why not capitalize? And beyond that, it's also his first year of arbitration. So this is a big year as it establishes the baseline for going forward. So if you're familiar with the arbitration process, typically you get a $3 to $4 million raise each year, depending on your production. So, if he starts around 4 million, that's going to go up pretty quickly over the next couple of years that he's under arbitration. So it's important, especially when it's your first year, to make sure that you get a big number there. Adam Duvall, also in his last year of arbitration, like Dansby Swanson, projected to make 9.1 million. Duvall had some big numbers last year, RBI and home run wise at least. So I guess that's what he's playing on to try and get, a big payday there. I guess I get it for him too. I'm not the biggest Adam Duvall, I guess, fan. I mean, I love Adam Duvall. Obviously, was big for the Braves last year, but I don't know. I feel like I'm going to get hit for this in the comments, but I feel like he's more of a role player, and that's hard to say for somebody that just led the league in RBIs. But he is an all or nothing type player. He's going to hit a home run or he's going to strike out, and that plays in today's game. I get that, just not my favorite type of player to watch, but certainly came up with some big hits for the Braves. We're always going to remember that grand slam, but I mean, he's still worth, 8 or 9 million, whatever it is there. Usually in these, negotiations or whatever, they're usually never off by more than 1 million or so. But, the Braves have spent a lot of money this offseason. I'm sure Alex is trying to save 1 million or 2 here or there, wherever he can. So I can understand that side of it as well. Luke Jackson, coming off a very good season, he's projected to get 3.8 million. So, he's just trying to get, as much as he can too. So I don't blame, any of these guys. It's really unusual to have so many players go to arbitration hearing, which the Braves are typically a file and trial team, which means that if they don't reach an agreement before the deadline, which just passed, they will stop negotiating and they'll just take it to a trial. And it's a little bit unusual this year. First of all, the two sides couldn't talk for, almost 100 days. So that doesn't leave a lot of time to get it done, especially, Alex has been working on trying to put this roster together since the lockout ended. So I don't know how much time's been really given in these negotiations. Maybe they'll change that up this year and not just be a file and trial team. Maybe they'll continue to negotiate these. But what I was going to say is it's a little abnormal this year. Typically, these trials happen, late January, February, before the season starts. And this year, because of the lockout, these trials will actually take place during the season, which could be a little odd, be a little awkward. If you lose your trial and go to the park that day, could be a little uncomfortable. But, these players understand the process, understand the business. They're trying to get as much as they can. The team is trying to save as much as they can. So that is the nature of the business. I think most players, GMs, front offices understand that, and there's no hard feelings in the process. But when it goes to trial, sometimes it can get a little ugly when you're trying to say why this person shouldn't get paid as much as they should. So hopefully they avoid some of that. And the one exception to the file and trial method that the Braves generally use is if they look to extend an arbitration player, to extend them for multiple years. So next, we're going to look at some extension candidates for the Atlanta Braves who perhaps in this process could be looking at getting an extension. This is the time of year I've pretty much given up on all my New Year's resolutions, but not this year. I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right. Thanks to Built Bar, it almost feels like it's not a resolution at all because I actually enjoy eating them. And have you tried their puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they are a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. In fact, all Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate, low calorie, high fiber. These are better than your candy bar. I'm telling you right now, go replace your candy bars with these. They're great for you and they taste good as well. Most of them only contain about 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. They have delicious flavors from mint brownie, coconut almond, and my favorite, the cookies and cream. Go to built.com and use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. All right, so let's talk about some of those extension candidates for the Braves who are going through the arbitration process. Probably the biggest one to talk about is Dansby Swanson, as he's coming up on his last year of arbitration. Will be a free agent after the season. The shortstop market could be very good next offseason. It could also be very shallow. Carlos Correa and Xander Bogaerts both have opt-outs in their contracts, so they both could hit the market next year. I tend to think that both of them will, but you never know how that's going to play out. Trey Turner also expected to hit the free agent market, but who knows? The Dodgers could look to lock him up long term. So again, it could be a very good free agent class. It could be Dansby Swanson. So there's a little bit of risk there. Obviously, if the Braves don't get Swanson locked up, look, if they don't get Swanson locked up, I feel like negotiations with him would not be too terrible, although he does use the same agent group that Freddie Freeman does. So that could be tough. We'll see how that plays out. But I do think Dansby, look, I said this about Freddie Freeman too, but Dansby is at least from Atlanta. He wants to be here. He loves this city. He wants to play for the Braves. I'm thinking, hopeful that he would take a team-friendly deal. I like Dansby Swanson, in case you haven't learned that about me yet. Is he one of the best shortstops in all of baseball? No. Can you win a championship with him? Yes, they just did. I love Dansby Swanson, love his attitude. I love his leadership in the clubhouse, which is definitely needed right now with Freddie Freeman departing. I think, Dansby could fill that role if he, signs up and is here long term. I think that could be hard for him to do this year when he could be on his way out. But I've said in the past, in the offseason, we talked about extension candidates, and I said, I would be fine giving Dansby Swanson a 4 or 5 year deal for around $12 million a year. Maybe as high as $14 million. That makes me a little uncomfortable going that high on him. As much as I love him, I don't think he's necessarily that kind of player. But again, like I said, I'm hoping you could do a team-friendly deal with Dansby Swanson, maybe a 4-year deal worth $48 million with a 5th-year team option and $2 million buyout. So it's a guaranteed $50 million. I think that'd be very solid for him. I think that'd be a very good deal for him, some guaranteed money for him. He gets to stick around in Atlanta and be the shortstop for the foreseeable future for the rest of this run that the Braves have going. So I don't know if they get that done during this process or not. I got to think they're at least entertaining the idea. But like I said, I think Swanson's somebody that if you didn't get it done now and he goes into the offseason a free agent, you could still negotiate that deal at that point and, not worry too much about him going somewhere else. And you could still wait to see your options and see who could be available in the shortstop market next year. Like I said, it could be some very interesting names out there, some very big names out there. For Austin Riley, I think it's probably still too early for an extension for him. He has 3 years left under team control. If he has another good season in 2022, not even an MVP level type season like he just had, but hits 275, 850 OPS, around 30 home runs, then maybe next offseason I think is the appropriate time to start talking extensions for Austin Riley or an extension for Austin Riley. But I don't think that happens right now. I think him going through this trial process is just to try, to capitalize on his big MVP type season and to establish his baseline for arbitration. So I don't think he's an extension candidate right now. And the other one is Max Fried. And you have to be very careful giving contract extensions to pitchers. As much as I love Max, pitchers in general are just too vulnerable. Max himself even seems to get banged up a couple of times throughout the season and miss a start or two here or there. Again, I do love Max. I hope he's around with the Braves for a long time. In all honesty, I feel like the Braves have kind of lucked up a little bit here with Max. The fact that he's still under team control for 3 seasons, that's just crazy to think about. It seems like Max Fried has been around for a long time. He's 28 years old, so after these next 3 seasons, going to be going into his age 31 season. I hate it for Max because I don't know that he'll ever get that big payday. Perhaps he will if he hits the free agent market on 31 at 31. He's obviously still going to be making good money through arbitration, but it's probably the smart move for the Braves to just let these next 3 years play out, or at least the next 2 play out, and just enjoy the ride with Max Fried, and then let him hit free agency, at age 31 and see what he can get. Again, I love Max. I want him here for a while, but it makes me a little uneasy giving somebody an extension, into his early 30s, and starting pitcher primarily, giving him an extension into his early 30s. So I think the Braves just let this one ride out with Max Fried over the next 3 years. So I think if we see any extension get done in this arbitration process, I think it's going to be Dansby Swanson. But if I had to place a bet, I would say that none of these players get extension during the arbitration process. I think Riley could be next off season. I think that's when, again, if he has another really good 2022, I think next off season you could potentially look at him as an extension candidate for the Braves. Next, we had some big highlights from Tuesday's spring training game. Wanted to talk about, and also some rule changes that were agreed upon for the upcoming season. Our next partner has a product I use literally every day. I started taking Athletic Greens because I wanted to optimize my immune system. I have 2 young kids who are in daycare and they're constantly bringing home germs and viruses. Athletic Greens has helped me boost my immune system so I can avoid sick days on the podcast. So, what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all the things. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover. It cost him $100 a day. He created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create an optimal nutrition routine on your own. It's a lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, or gluten free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/MLB network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/MLB network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. On Tuesday, the Atlanta Braves had some dominant pitching on the mound with Max Fried, Huascar Ynoa, and Spencer Strider. Fried faced the minimum through 3 innings. He hit Byron Buxton to begin the game, then immediately got a double play. He only threw 25 pitches in his 3 innings. He was up to 96 miles per hour with the fastball. Then Huascar Ynoa came in with 3 shutout innings, looked very solid as well. So good things for him. Talked about rotation candidates yesterday. like I said, if Noah is healthy, and I mean, he went 3 innings in his first outing, so I don't know why he wouldn't be. I think he is one of the favorites to get a rotation spot. So good look for Huascar Ynoa as he does try to do just that. And then you got Spencer Strider, who to me right now is the number 2 prospect in the system. I think that's where I had him when I did my top 10 this past off season, looking at the best prospects or the top prospects with upside. I had Michael Harris 1, Spencer Strider 2. I just think he can be that good, and he showed it on Tuesday. He did give up 4 hits, but didn't give up any runs. He was consistently hitting 100 miles per hour with the fastball. Just some really great stuff. Really love to see him pitch and see him continue to develop. Again, I know he's on the 40 man, so there's a chance that he gets pulled up pretty soon to make a start. I kind of hope he doesn't, as much as I love him and want him to succeed and get to see his full potential. I would like to see him continue to develop at AAA this year. He needs to continue to work on his secondary pitches in order to reach that ceiling that I think he can get to as a number 1 or 2 starter. But certainly fun watching him get to pitch on Tuesday as the game was on TV, and good stuff from him. Byron Buxton robbed Matt Olson of a hit, colliding with the wall in the first inning as he caught it. I thought when Matt Olson hit the ball, I thought it was gone. He actually absolutely crushed it to straight center, but wind was blowing a little bit in into left field, kept the ball in the park, and Byron Buxton, an elite defensive player in center field, made a great play on the ball. Michael Harris continues to impress. He had a hit, a walk, and a stolen base in this game. I believe that's his 3rd stolen base of spring training already. I've been saying all along he needs to stay in Double-A all year, continue to develop, and perhaps get ready for 2023. But watching him play, he looks so ready. He looks the part right now. He's a big dude. He's a lot bigger than I think a lot of people would imagine. But he looks the part, and I can't wait to watch him play. It's going to be hard to hold him back this year if he does get off to a hot start in Double-A, but I got to think the Braves will continue to take the slow approach with him and not try to rush him up to the big leagues. Still a raw talent, but man, he looks really, really good hitting the ball hard. As far as news around the league on Tuesday, the plan for Ronald Acuna Jr. remains to have him return as the DH in late April into the outfield in late May. They do not plan for him to play in spring training games. That was the first time we've heard that officially. But once the regular season starts, he'll essentially begin a rehab stint to get ready to return in late April as the DH. MLB and the MLBPA have agreed to expand rosters to 28 from 26 through May 1st with no limits on the number of pitchers. So look for a lot of teams to carry some extra pitching, especially early on in the season to get pitchers ready for the rest of the season. As like I said, pitchers will likely be on innings limits, pitch limits going in to the season with only 3 weeks of spring training games. They also agreed to bring back the ghost runner for extra innings. However, doubleheaders will be at 9 innings instead of 7 innings. I'm okay with this. I'm actually don't mind the ghost runner in extra innings. I wish it started in either the 11th or 12th inning, but I really don't mind that rule. What I did not like was 7-inning doubleheaders. 7 innings is not a baseball game, so I'm glad that they're going to stick with 9 innings for doubleheaders. And then a new rule, which is not just for 2022. This is for the next 5 years under this CBA agreement. It's a new rule to promote two-way players, and it's called, well, I don't know that it's called this, but it's essentially the Shohei Ohtani rule. A pitcher who is also hitting in the lineup can remain as the DH even if he is pulled from the start. This is, again, a rule over the course of this CBA. This is not just for 2022, and that's a pretty cool rule. I know the Braves just drafted a two-way player in Spencer Schwellenbach. Perhaps he gets a chance to hit and pitch, but I thought that was a pretty neat rule. I like that, especially on days when Shohei Ohtani pitches. Now, whenever he's removed from the game as a pitcher, he'll still be able to continue to hit. So say he only goes, 5 innings, maybe he only goes 3 innings, has a bad start, he still can affect the game the rest of the way as the team's DH. So I like that rule. I think it's really a neat rule and a way to promote two-way players, which I'm a big fan of. So I like that rule there. But let me know your thoughts on some of these rule changes as well, what you think about them. But that will do it for this episode of the Tomahawk Take podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at @Lockedon_Braves. You can follow me at Shortstop Ball. Also, make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Hopefully, we can get to 1,000 followers on Wednesday, and we will talk to you next time.